Good afternoon, everyone. I am Mayor Cashenna A, and with us we have the Honorable Jolene Ivy from our magnificent District 5. Councilwoman Ivy is serving with the Prince George's County as a council member. She was elected to her first four-year term with the County Council in November of 2018. She has honorably represented our District 5 for the legislative session from 2020 session and has served on the Planning, the Housing, the Economic Development Committee, and the General Assembly Committee and the Mental Health Advisory Board. In addition to her responsibilities, she is honored to be a part of the Leadership Greater Washington Class of 2020. Councilwoman Ivy, we welcome you to the City of Glenarden Townhall as we look at districting and redistricting and zoning. And we want to thank you so much for your time. Would you like to have a few opening words, ma'am?
Thank you so much, Mayor Cross. I really appreciate being included today. It's, I think, the first time I've been able to sit down with you in public along with the new council. So it's wonderful to be here. I'm glad you have some of the members on the council from before to kind of help with the history of the council and the town and try to keep things going. And it's always nice to have new people join and bring new ideas. So I know it's an exciting time for Glenarden.
Well, we are grateful. Thank you so much again for your time. As we go forward, we will, citizens that have been, are in attendance today, we have questions that are prepared for Honorable Councilwoman Ivy to speak to us directly as it pertains to our topic of the hour. So without further ado, the first question that we have, which is possibly the easiest, but possibly the most complex, is what exactly is redistricting and how does this fit into our healthy democracy?
Well, you know, Mayor Cross, redistricting is something that's happening all over the country right now in every jurisdiction. So every 10 years, we do the census. And you remember last year, we were pushing so hard for everyone to answer the census. And part of the reason is this exactly. You need to know how many people live where so that you have even numbers of people in each district so that you do have close as possible, one person, one vote. So what we're doing now, we took the information from, and each jurisdiction does this. This isn't just Prince George's County, but you get the information from the census and then you figure out how to have even numbers within a 5 percentage points spread in each district so that, you know, each council member, each ward representative represents about the same number of people compared to the others. So it happens every 10 years from Congress to the state legislatures to county councils to towns. So it's happening all over the United States. And it's really a core function of our democracy to determine who represents us and what district that you live and vote in. And it's important to keep gerrymandering down as little as possible because actually no one likes it. No one likes to live in a district where you don't have anything to do with the people 50 miles away who, for whatever reason, someone's decided that you should be in the same district and that you don't have common interests for your representative to fight for. So, and there's an old saying that says it's important that the voters get to choose their representatives and not that the representatives get to choose their voters. So that is basically what redistricting is. And, you know, we're going through that process right now in Prince George's County, and it's not pretty. I will have to say that.
Yes, I can appreciate it's not pretty. We have seen it playing out on the evening news. And it's one of the reasons which has generated this town hall to make sure that our citizens have the true understanding of what's going on right now in the county council and the hard work that you're putting in to make sure that citizens do have and will have the right to choose their representation based on where they live and who they've actually served and worked alongside in multiple capacities. So thank you for that. I do have your maps. Whenever you are ready for those to be up, you just let me know.
Okay, well, I think it might be worth it to go through just briefly how the process is supposed to work in Prince George's County. Because our county charter requires that every 10 years after the census is completed, that will appoint a redistricting commission. We have a 3-member commission, and they propose what the map should look like for the county council lines. And they submit it to the county council. And then we have a choice. And that's what we're going through now. We have the choice to go with what the redistricting commission had done. And I have to tell you, they're a very smart group of people. They have a lot of experience, and they had 11 public meetings and 2 public hearings to get public input about the maps. And one thing that they thought was important, because the census data was coming in so late, they said, you know what, given that people have already started running for office for next time, we should just try to keep things pretty much the same, so you're not moving people around, so they're not in a different district in the end than they've been running in, than they've been living in for years, and to not upset the apple cart. So they try to keep things pretty much the same. And one reason they did that is that the lines that were drawn 10 years ago, they seem to have met constitutional muster. People were satisfied with them, and there didn't seem to be a big reason to change them. So other than a few adjustments here and there that have to do with, one area got more people, a greater population growth than the other, so you shave some off of this district and you put them in that district. Other than that, just a little bit around the edges to balance things out, there were no changes. In fact, the commission's map had no changes for District 5, the one that we're in. But there is another provision where a council member can propose a different map or amendments to the map. And because I'd not heard any unhappiness about the commission's map, and I was totally fine with it, I just thought, okay, that's going to be the map. We'll vote on it and move on with our lives. But that is not what happened. When the day that I thought that was going to happen, instead, a council member, Derek Leon Davis, proposed a completely dramatically different map without any input from 4 of us. And he just threw it out there. Apparently the rest of them had gotten together. You got to wonder about that. There are sunshine laws, but whatever. Had come up with what they wanted and put out this map. And it did not take into account the municipalities that had issues, didn't take into account anything other than what those 6 people wanted. But they're supposed to represent, constituents. And so you're not going to find me coming up with a whole different anything that affects our district and not come to you and say, what do you think? What's your input? But that's what happened, and that's what has passed to this point. And that's the concern, because the problem, like if you don't really understand how all of this affects you, then what you have to think about is it's not just where do you live? Mm-hmm. It's not just about your district. It's about the whole county. And so if, for example, last year, you have to see who's on the county council, right? There are 11 of us. And in order to get something put on the ballot, like a charter change, then you need 8 votes out of the 11 to get something on the ballot. And last year also, Councilmember Derek Leon Davis, coincidentally, put in language to put on the ballot that would have led to an increase in property taxes. And he didn't even want language that would have been clear so that you could say to yourself when you're voting, do I want to pay more property taxes? And is this a good time for that in the middle of a pandemic when people are losing their lives, their homes? You know, is this the time for that? So in any event, he didn't want clear language and he wanted to put this on the ballot. And at that time, he had 8 votes. There were only 3 of us at that time. And that is Councilmember Tom DeNoga and Councilmember Monique Anderson Walker and myself. So other than the 3 of us, everybody else, their initial vote was yes, we want to support what he wants to do. But the 3 of us got together and we let everybody know what was going on. And we had 5,000 people sign up for our Zoom so that they could learn more about what was going on. And they contacted their at-large members and also like no point contacting me. I'm happy to hear from you, but in a case like that, I'm already on board. That's assuming you don't want your property taxes to go up. But if you do, you can let me know that too. I'm totally fine with that. I didn't hear from anyone like that. But
I'm sure you didn't.
but if we hadn't been able to convince one of our colleagues, and at that time, it was Rodney Streeter was the first one to say, you know what, maybe this isn't the right time. I'm changing my vote. Once he changed his vote and let that be known publicly, everybody else changed their vote, right? Or enough of them, because we only needed to get 1 of them, right? They had 8, then they had 7, so they didn't have enough anymore. And so the other ones started to bail. And Councilman Davis ended up having to withdraw his proposal. So that's why it's important that you have maps that are fair so that people who are running for office legitimately can continue to run. And maybe the people who share your philosophies will win, and then we won't have to break arms and threaten everybody with a 5,000 member Zoom in order to change minds and hearts. So I don't know what's going to happen this time. You know, we've been getting the word out. People have been contacting us. I've gotten hundreds of emails. Right. And I'm on the side of trying not to go with this new map. And the basic problem with the new map is that it very clearly and obviously is intended to knock 3 people off the ballot who were running. So if you have the maps to put up, I think one of them shows where people used to live and where people live under the new maps, the proposed map.
Let's get it.
It's really
Open
telling
for you. All righty, which one first? So,
okay.
Which one would you like?
That's it.
First? This one?
Yeah. Yeah. So if you look at that, you'll see that on the map on the left, Eric Olson, who used to be on the county council, and he has lived in District 3 for a very long time. And then when they moved him to District 1, just barely. See the little,
yes, I see
they
that.
moved him. I mean, you talk about gerrymandering. So District 1 has changed a lot. If you look at the shape of it, it's kind of phallic, in my opinion. And it goes right down into District 3 in order to scoop up Eric Olson and take him out of contention from being able to run in District 3. Now,
Councilwoman, we see that clearly now.
It's so clear. It's so clear. Now, if you go over and on the map on the left, District 7, you see Crystal Oriata. She came very close to winning the last time. She lost by fewer than 50 votes. I love Rodney Streeter, and I'm telling you, he's been out since July, and I cannot implicate him, nor can anyone else, in what is going on today. He's been out with a medical issue. So, but when I see something like this, I see perhaps someone is trying to give him a reason to support this map. If he gets well and can come back and vote, look, Crystal Oriata, she got moved from District 7. She's in my district now. Look at that.
Yes, I see that.
Look at that. And I welcome her in that I love Crystal. I got no problems with Crystal, but it's not right for her. And it's not right for the people who have been supporting her.
That's
Now,
good.
and then if you go down further into District 9, you see Tamara Davis Brown. She lost by fewer than 100 votes in District 9 to Sydney Harrison. And they've moved her just over into District 8. Now, does that look like gerrymandering to you? Does that look like some kind of moving people around in an undemocratic and unethical way so they can't run? And it's so silly to me, because when you get right down to it, oh, and I'd like to point out that these three candidates are viewed as being a little more progressive. So perhaps the idea is to stop that kind of thought process. I think if these three people had been on the council before, I doubt that we would have gone through this particular issue. I can't see them deciding, let's draw a map so that no one has opposition.
Exactly.
You know, that's kind of crazy. But in any event, in real life, I can't think ever of a sitting council member being beaten for their reelection. It hasn't happened. In fact, Denny Taveras, who represents District 2, when she won the first time, she only won by 6 votes. Six.
Wow.
When she ran for reelection, I mean, she had a vigorous candidate who was the mayor of Hyattsville at the time, and she had to actually work hard and campaign. And you know what? She won with, I think, by around 200 votes the second time. So there's very little chance that these other two, the ones who would be going against sitting council members, Crystal Oriata and Tamara Brown, it doesn't look likely that they would win anyway, because once you're the incumbent, you've got a great platform to go around, talk to people, help them with issues, and people who may have voted against you before are likely to vote for you the next time. So I think this is unnecessary. And I think it's also something that if you support whoever for office, please go out there and campaign. Just go help that person, give them money, door knock, make calls, whatever you want to do to help that person. But doing this, to me, this is wrong. And this is the very most clearest way I can explain as to what's happening and why. There's no reason that anyone has given who supported this map that can explain away why these dots have moved. There's no reason for it.
You know, Councilwoman Ivy, I thank you for these maps, because it's clearly definitely not something that identifies a healthy democracy. So that was our first question. And as we look at particularly what's happening in 1 and 3 there, slice down into 3 was just a sliver of segment of folks where Eric Olson lives.
Absolutely. Isn't that awful?
Each one.
It's very clear. And he'd been door knocking, I can't remember, 3,000, 5,000 doors already.
Oh.
How would you put in that much work and then have somebody say, oops, sorry, you don't live in the district anymore? I mean, you'd be beside yourself. And I think that they're shooting themselves in the foot, the ones supporting this, because maybe they get what they want initially, but they have made people so angry that, you know, I guess, you know, Derek Leon Davis isn't trying to run for anything right now, because if he did, I think people would be unlikely to support him if they were educated about this kind of thing. I haven't had one person reach out to me and say, no, I disagree with you, Jolene. I actually think that their map is better. Not one person. Uh-oh, I lost you. I can't hear you.
So one thing that I want to also talk to is, now that we are looking at these lines, you've talked to us about 11-member council. You've talked to us about needing the 8 votes to actually make such a change as we've just seen in what is essentially gerrymandering. It really is.
Well, It was 8 votes for putting something on the ballot last year. This year, they need 6 votes.
This year they needed 6.
They
Okay.
need 6 votes for this, and so far they have 6 votes. It's 6-4 right now because Councilman Streeter, as I said, he's been out sick. And assuming that he's not back in time,
Right.
then we need one of them to not vote for that map. If one of them decides, you know what, after further consideration, I've changed my mind, which does happen, like it happened last year. If one of them changes his or her mind, then we will not have 6 votes for that map. And instead we'll go back and have the Redistricting Commission's map. And that one will be the one that we'll have for the next 10 years.
Okay, and that's the other map that you sent me?
Yeah, the one that we currently have, basically. The Redistricting Commission's map and the current map are so close that there's not a lot to discuss as far as the differences.
So now this vote will be taken November the 18th, is it?
16th,
The
November
16th.
16th. Mhm.
So November the 16th is the magic number. And we are, as a district and as a county, looking forward to reason. Hopefully we will have reason. I know for a fact that you have at least 8 letters from the various mayoral committees and commissions that I'm on that have been sending in information, including, you know, being addressed by the NAACP on this one, basically for what you've just highlighted to us in this map. So when we are looking at redistricting and changing the state and legislative and congressional boundaries, so as it pertains to what we've done here in the county council, this just changes the county council, or does this actually bleed into
No.
what's happening at the congressional level?
No, the congressional map will be done in December by the state delegates and senators. So they'll do it in December. They're having a special session just for that. I'm sure they'll do other things while they're there, but the main thing they're doing is redrawing the congressional lines.
Okay, so we need to watch this. Citizens, this is why we are having.
And since my husband's running for Congress, we are in fact paying close attention to that.
Absolutely. And this is why, and honestly, Councilwoman Ivy, I wanted to bring this forward because it starts at the grassroots level, right? So what happens in the county council impacts us as municipalities and how we will actually lead ourselves in the near future. As we look at 2022 with the county council coming up for re-election and many other elections that are happening across our district, I mean, this just really was a glaring opportunity for us to launch this town hall. And again, I want to be clear when I say we are grateful for your expertise coming on to this Zoom and educating us on this matter. So what are communities of interest? When we talk about redistricting, could you talk to us about the communities of interest? How does that play into this program?
Well, for example, the port towns are a community of interest, and that is Edmonston, Cottage City, Colmar Manor, and Bladensburg. They work together. They help each other with things. I know that the police chief in one might also cover the adjoining town. You know, they really work hand in glove together. And the new map that Councilman Davis proposed, it takes Edmonston out of District 5 and away from the port towns. It takes them out of like that group. So they can still call themselves the port towns and they can still work together, but it's a lot easier to do things as a group if you're under the same councilmatic district. And the reason for moving Edmonston, and it's not a huge number of people, but the number of people in Edmonston who are Latino, they thought was a good idea to move into District 2 because Denny Taveras, who represents District 2, has made it a priority of hers that District 2 be majority Latino. Now, to be quite frank, number one, I don't see exactly the point in having to have the numbers that she says that she wants. If the reason that you want them is to make sure you have a good chance of having somebody Latino represent that area, Well, years ago, before there were as many Latinos who lived there as there are now, Will Campos represented it. And after that, it was Denny Taveras. And after that, looks like it's going to be Victor Ramirez. So without doing anything special, these are the people who won. And I don't really see why it's necessary. The other thing is that when you look at District 2, there were a lot of census tracts. And remember, all this is tied up into the census. There were a lot of census tracts that only had like 50% participation in District 2. So we can imagine, just to use common sense, that in those areas that were already heavily Latino, the people who were not counted were probably Latino, right? So when you put all that together, you know that they're probably already over 50% Latino, if you think that that is important. But in any event, you know, that's why they wanted to steal, I say steal, because I didn't want them to go and I didn't give my permission, but steal Edmonston away just to get a few more Latino people over into District 2. So I know that Edmonston has worked very well with me. I've supported Mayor Gant and their initiatives. When they reach out and need help, I've helped. And if they're having an event and they need some kind of support, I provide it. And it even goes down to like last year when we had to do all the food drives. I mean, not that that isn't still a need, but it was a huge focus early in the pandemic. And I was able to help all 4 jurisdictions get access to food. And I think Bladensburg had a way to get a lot of food on their own, but the others didn't have as much. And I was able to help all 4.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so it's been a good partnership. So communities of interest are areas that are near each other that have something to do with each other. And it doesn't make sense to me when you say that you want to keep communities of interest together and then you snatch out Edmonston out of District 5.
Exactly. Exactly. That was a big hit. So thank you for actually addressing that, because initially that was presented as kind of what they say in the intelligence world as rumit, but you know, you've confirmed that indeed, you know, you've taken a community of interest and then taken one out. And I know Mayor Gant, and we've talked extensively about the mapping and what it actually has done to Edmonston. And in fact, it is something of a major concern. So now when we look at this, when it has to be completed and how our population is determined, all of which is based on the census, and trying to be fair based on who's moving in as far as the population and representing that population. Is there any way to take the zoning and redistricting away from an election year? So 2022 is an election year, which is part of the problem, right? So if you had some time to get to know your community in the rezoning process, but right now, with the maps you just shown us, you don't have a chance to get to know anyone in that new zone.
Right. Well, the problem is you have to do it based on the census and you have to do it right away. So there isn't a way out of that. And it's going to happen every 10 years. And that is a big reason. Like if the census data had come in a lot sooner and they'd been able to draw their map sooner, maybe there would have been opportunities to change things. But, you know, in real life, the people who were running for office, I'm sure if you're Eric Olson and you're that deep over into District 3, you never think that they're going to find a way to district you out. And they sure did. So, you know, it's not a reasonable thing. And I feel a little bit bad for another candidate over there. I only know one other candidate over there, Eve Schumann, who, you know, she didn't have anything to do with this. This isn't her fault. But people are so angry. I mean, she might suffer if somebody else runs and, you know, if Eric can't run and she's running and somebody else jumps in and tries to blame her. I mean, she being a victim of all this herself. So it's all very unfortunate and so unnecessary and undemocratic.
I'm going to share the screen again, just so that our citizens are aware of what we've been talking about. For everyone that's just come online, welcome. Ms. Young, I see your comments there posted for everyone, noting the November 16th, as well as putting the link for us all to attend. I will also acknowledge that the City of Glenarden has been watching this process and will likewise put the link on our webpage. So citizens, you're always free to go to our www.cityofglenarden.org, and you'll be able to see all of these links and access them. Again, Eric Olson there once in 3, now zoned in 1. Crystal zoned out of 7 into 5, and Tamara Brown there zoned out of 9 and into 8. And very closely on those lines, you'll see the new zoning map. So this is the discussion of the hour. And I just wanted to make sure that I shared that for everyone that's new to our town hall. And we welcome you to everyone. So is there anything that we can do as the public to change how unfair this redistricting process has happened, particularly in this year?
I think the main thing to do is contact your at-large members who are, that would be Chair Hawkins, actually has led this process. I kind of put it on Derek Leon Davis because he is the person who put it in. But Chair Hawkins, if you watch the first hearing that we had on it on October 14th, it's pretty stunning to see how he ran that meeting and how unfair and undemocratic it was and disrespectful, frankly. I've got no reason to be nice anymore. I'm just telling everybody the truth. That's what happened. So, the best thing you can do is reach out. If you're, a Glenarden resident, you're already have me advocating for you. But the 2 at-large members are the ones who have the power to change their minds and change the outcome. And then if you happen to know anybody who represents any of the other districts, please reach out to them, because you can reach out to everybody, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have a whole list in the last email that I just sent out. And let me put, I don't know if the people online can see it. Oh, there we go. Well, we have most people's emails on up on the screen, or at least in the chat. I don't know if that's something that would be visible to people who.
Yes, everyone can see that. And everyone, Ms. Monica Young, I want to thank you for putting in the resolution to have the public hearing on November 16th. Again, the link is available there for you, citizens. And you'll see she's put the 2 at-large members, and then you have Councilwoman Ivy has just put her email in there. Please take the time, while it may not impact Glenarden directly today, this is something that's impacting our county council and our district as well. So we are all partners in this. And because we are without borders, for real, we are without borders, what happens in one can truly impact others. So this is the time of support as best we can. Write the letters. You've seen the maps. If it hits your non-democratic spidey senses, take the time and put pen to paper. This is very important for so many people. So as it pertains to College Park, I understand that College Park has been rethought.
Yes, to an extent. Apparently, the University of Maryland has a bigger voice than the people in Edmonston, because the people in College Park complained, and they had an amendment the next meeting proposed by Councilman Franklin to take their issues into consideration.
Absolutely.
But it became even more clear with his amendment that the real goal was to cut out Eric Olson. It looked even worse in the end. But in any event, that's what's going on. And I don't always understand my colleagues. We try to get along, or I should say, I try to get along. But there are times you can't just go along to get along. You have to speak up and tell people what's going on, because everybody's got busy lives. It's not like you're sitting around looking at county council meetings online. Who's got time for that?
Well, and they usually happen during the day where most people are at work
Right.
anyway. So
Right.
we
But
are
if you
very
send-
much so.
If people send me an email, and again, my email address is jivey@co.pg.md.us. If you send me an email, we will send you the newsletter information we just sent out today that's comprehensive about redistricting, and it has links to the hearings, and you can know exactly where to go in the tape and be able to watch just what you want to watch. You don't have to sit through 3 hours of anything.
Oh, that's fabulous. Thank you so much. We always like when someone gives us the playbook.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you, Councilwoman Ivy. So you have explained to us why this is so controversial. And part of the importance of this town hall is for our citizens to have an opportunity to speak to our councilwoman as well. So we've had a very good discussion. We've seen the maps. I can put those back up for folks so that you'll get a chance to see them. Thank you again, Ms. Young. She's been posting everyone's emails in there directly so that we can copy those out and make, be about the business of supporting the district and also supporting our county, essentially. So as Glenardeners, this is what we can do to be a part of the solution, to be a part of communicating in the future. So this isn't one where we can say, well, this doesn't have any impact on me, I'm not going to say anything, because this is democracy. This is democracy. And I'm going to share the maps again, and I will open up at this time. Do you have any final comments on our session of the town hall? And then I want to let the citizens have an opportunity to ask questions, because this is not
Let's go.
exclusive list.
I'm ready to hear the questions.
Oh, very well. Okay, I know that Mr. Jesse Huff Jr. had typed in the comment box that he wanted to ask a question. So Mr. Huff, if you're ready, sir, you can unmute.
Yeah, actually answered my question that I had. No, I don't have a question no more.
Okay, well, thanks. I'm glad that I was able to be comprehensive enough for you. Thank you so much, Mr. Huff.
Very well, thank you. Are there any other citizens that would like to ask a question? Please just unmute yourself. This is your time.
How about anyone on the council? I saw a few council members on. And of course, I believe everybody's got my cell phone number too. So if you have anything that you think of later that you don't think to ask now, please reach out to me. I try to stay available. And actually, I'll put my, I think everybody's got my cell, but I'm going to put it in the chat as well, just in case.
You know what? I have a question. I have another question.
Yes.
And it's
Okay.
really dealing with our children. So how does redistricting actually impact our school system? Does it have an impact at all?
Well, it doesn't have, this is only about the voting lines. There is a process, however, that's happening now, and I don't know if Monica can find some information she can put in the chat real quick while we're talking, but the school board has a process that they're going through now where they're thinking about trying to balance populations of schools to make sure that, you don't end up with over 500 extra kids in one school and 500 too few kids in another school not far away. And so I know that that's something that's going on now. The Prince George's County Public School website has more information. And, I think that the school board has been working pretty hard on that.
Mm-hmm. And I asked that question because even though it's just a little carved out piece of 8 here, that's a lot of people that's been carved out of 8 and actually placed, carved out of 9, forgive me, and placed into 8 there in Tamara Brown's area. So.
Well, they move some other things around too, to make sure that it all balanced out number wise. The numbers should still work. Because if you look at the map on the left, you see District 8, how it goes all the way over to the right, extra little area, and it's gone on the right.
Ah, see.
Mm-hmm. And if you look at District 5, it goes down now further into 7, into all the way down like Seat Pleasant.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not really too much. And even in District 1 here, I see that it's taken back some out of 4 to put the sliver here through 3.
Yes.
Okay, that's super talented. If I may
somebody took a lot of time to figure that out, but didn't bother to take a few minutes to call me and say, hey, Jolene, what do you think about this? You might not like it, but I wanted to just let you know that I was doing it. And it's interesting. When I was in the House of Delegates, and I was chair of the delegation, I thought that it was important, especially with controversial issues, to bring everybody together in agreement, listen to everybody's concerns, include them in the process. And in the end, even super controversial issues, we would pass with almost unanimous vote. Because what I wanted is for everybody to go back home and defend what we've done. I didn't want half of them going home and sniping and complaining like I am today.
Exactly.
That's not what you want. You want to include everyone. So that's how I go about things. And I'm sorry that is not how this council has operated. But, things can change depending on who wins next time.
And this is true. And we will have the election in June of 2022.
Yep.
So this is the time of great opportunity. The time for us to get out. We actually are asking the Maryland Black mayors to afford the City of Glenarden an opportunity to have the gubernatorial candidates come into our city and actually do another town hall with them to allow citizens in our district, in our city, to actually ask those questions, to interface with them and understand what the issues are that will be really the issues that will guide us over the next 4 years. As we've seen many elections, particularly in the controversial election in Virginia, which just concluded. One of the things that we have to do as people is stand ever ready to learn about the issues that each candidate will bring to the table, but also be ready to respond accordingly to these types of controversial gerrymandering that's happening here in our county. Because this is going to impact us on multiple levels across our district and how those votes will happen. And if we're looking at an 11-member council, it could change a lot about how funds are allocated as well across the district. So this is very important for us. So,
well, thank you so much for your time and for hosting me. I truly appreciate it. Thank you to the citizens and the council members are citizens.
well, I see Councilwoman Fareed, I see your hand.
Yes, I just wanted to respond to the question around the school board. A few weeks ago, we actually had a redistricting event in which Councilwoman Ivy and school board member Shayla Adams Stafford were speakers on that. And there was a lot of information that school board members shared. I just checked the website. It doesn't look like it's up on our website anymore, but I can certainly send that information again so that it can be posted, because there's someone looks like they posted it in there, the Boundary Initiative, and some information about that and some other information that she shared. So we can go ahead and post that back up on the website.
Thank you so much for that.
That's good. Yeah, and that was a really good event that you did, Councilwoman Fareed. Thank you for hosting that as well.
So let me look. Are there any other questions for the Honorable Councilwoman Ivy? Okay. So Councilwoman, the floor is yours for any final comments. I don't want to drag on a meeting. If we've answered all the questions, I believe that we have a really good understanding of what's happening right now in our county. And we have our marching orders. We have all of the feedback. We have the emails. We have your number, 301-437-8394. And we will definitely be reaching out because what impacts one in our district essentially should impact us all. We all have to be aware. And the floor is yours.
Indeed. Yeah, thank you so much. And it's important, I think, that we look at the county as a whole, who's going to represent every district and how they're likely to vote. Not just how nice they are, not that they came to your birthday party, but how do they vote? What are their priorities? Do you share those priorities? And would you vote the same way if you were the one sitting in the seat? Does that person truly represent your interests? And I think that, you know, people, like I said, people are busy. You might not even know what your county councilman's doing, but
Exactly.
I'm upon all of us to do some research and find out and not just take the okey doke, because that's how you might have ended up with an increase in your property taxes in the middle of a pandemic.
That's
know,
correct. That's
So
correct.
you need more than my vote. You need to have all those other votes around the county. So thank you so much again for having me, and I truly appreciate it.
Oh, thank
And
you.
you all have a great day.
All right, thank you. Thank you, citizens. Thank you to our council from the City of Glenarden. I'm Mayor Cashenna A. I appreciate all of your time this evening, this afternoon. Councilwoman Jolene Ivy as well. You're a true gem in our district and we thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
You too.